going to answer. That's why I made this little dance here, because I got some comments that everybody's getting a bit confused about where I am right now, and I got a question. I'm like clubbing in New York City today. No, I'm not. The video of the last was 2018, January 2018. Okay, so I'm not there right now. I'm in Argentina right now, and I'm clubbing here in my quarantine in my office. Okay, let's call it illustrating our channel with interviews and traveling tips and comments in general. Okay, but those are illustrations. Okay, the number one thing about the chapters, it's one of the contributors that I have on my team. It's I'm telling the whole story because, you know, everything I've been suffering, especially from 2018 now, I'm reporting every week, you know, everything that's happening on my lawsuit. It is a boring topic, but not really, because, you know, my work is very modern, it's international, there's cyberspace, you know, there's reports, police, like looting on the cyber, so it's a very modern, so we put in everything together. So we keep sending emails, we keep contacting, we're having the defendants of my cases, and there was we have some limitations with the website provider in the USA. So LEGROUP Industries is offline now. So we're using the one in the United Kingdom, it's LEGROUPoperations.com. So we're sending the emails through LEGROUPoperations.com and the LEGROUP UK. And then there were some elements. There was new attorneys, you know. We're talking of somebody that was specialized in cybercrime, but they're based in Hong Kong. They have offices all over the world. So this is a case. Okay, they can't keep it going. And as it's international, it's one of the things we've been doing this week. There's a new attorney in Brazil that is sending to us some new legislation about what's called a remote work. Because my work is ahead of the time. I mean, there's a lot of people doing, but now it's like everybody because of the quarantine, which is working remotely. And how can you work remotely being so vulnerable that not being physically in an office, that you can be just looted as I was through the cyberspace. Like I'm not seeing my supplier, not seeing my client. And then my supplier calls my client, does slander and defamation against me, steals all my contracts. I mean, it's very easy. You just, instead of forwarding to this email at your home and you're in different countries, you know, like, so even in the same city, that's difficult. Imagine worldwide, which is my case. So it's, so it is going. And so that was on the purposes of the BCB Trust, is that we're collecting all these funds. So we're going to have the funds necessary to really put these lawsuits up and running, because the thing is that now, as me, I'm the victim, I'm the person that was embezzled, so I do not have the resources to achieve my results without the support of the government, which is the part that we're shocked, is that there is not really a lot of structure to protect the cyberspace. Okay, it's not only the underworld, the bitcoins, is like even normal standard business like mine. So my case is very simple. It's like people have to pay me like $100,000, and that was the case in Texas. Okay, so this $100,000 is because I have work and I have suppliers and distributors and companies involved. So at some point, the supplier and the client, they connect and they say, you know what? Let's just remove this $100,000 cost, and we share this money. Okay, so that's what happened. And so let's say maybe they agree and say, you know what, I give you a $50,000 discount, we eliminate this guy, and then we copy out that we know, you know, so it was a risk contract. So, but that was like years of work, like they were being the beneficiaries of the results after 6 years of investment. From my $100,000, they were not really profitable. They're just costs that I had for a period of 6 years, the time that I'm really growing, establishing my business, and that's my work. And then they're doing my work. So I don't know if I explained that well. But anyways, what I'm saying, this video now, is because I'm going to put some videos and stuff of my experience in Portugal, because that was January 2019. That's 1 year ago. Because what happens, like on these episodes that I'm doing some flashbacks of old stuff that I'm putting together. And because I started doing this in January 2020. but I could have started this like in 2018 as they were happening, and I will be reporting and making the videos, you know, but I didn't. So that's why I'm doing now and then. So I'm mixing both. So now I'm talking a little bit about what's happening right now during the quarantine and my updates, and also reporting what happened like 1 year ago. So I'm going to put, this is Portugal. What happened in Portugal? As my company was being looted, I had my new customers. So in this case, this Portugal case goes to the damages and losses on my business. But by the time that Wisconsin Finance didn't pay their bill, by the time that Alexandre Almeida in Brazil with their counterparts in the USA, American Heritage, Watson's Billiards and Presidential Billiards, Family Leisure, Creative Solutions, once all these companies, and then the companies in Thailand, TMP Rice Mill, Shiva Rice, Mass Choices Tuna, like once they all attacked my company and looted my business, I had this damage on my cash flow, right? I was not receiving my payments, I had no products to sell, and I had no future compensations for those 4 businesses, but I also had other businesses. So this is another one, which is rice from Portugal. I sell rice from Portugal that I produce my brands in Portugal, Royal Grain, American Cowboy, since 2016. And then it was December 2019, and I got those orders of the product in Portugal, one of the left, because I was not shipping cheese from Texas anymore. I was not shipping rice from Thailand anymore. I was not shipping tuna from Thailand. Slate for billiard pool tables from Brazil to the USA anymore. But I still have rice from Portugal to Africa, and then I got these orders. And then I had to ship. But the problem is on the international business, I get payments by letters of credit. I do not receive cash. So I have this letter of credit of $100,000, and I could have shipped like 1.2 or $2 million of this rice from Portugal to Libya last year. And I couldn't ship. Why? I received the letter of credit and I couldn't process. And then in January, I had news from the police, like the police in Florida sent me the report. I got a call from the Brazilian embassy in Washington. I went to the Brazilian embassy in Portugal, and I mean, all of these institutions on my favor. They gave me documentation. I received a letter from the Secretary Attorney of Florida, I think it was Pam Bondi, you know, because they received all the paperwork about this case, asking for help, asking for some sort of support from the authorities, from the state, in order to achieve the results as against the defendants, you know, to do something. I was being looted and robbed in the cyberspace. And so I had all this favorable news that I thought that the defendants would take it seriously and get a case closed, you know, as it's starting to build up the case as something formal and structured. And then I had this order, so I needed this $100,000 quick, because that was about my order, and I had to pay. I have the package in Portugal, but I had to pay my costs and the supplier of the rice and the freight, and put it on the boat and ship it to Libya. And I couldn't. Like, I was for a full month in Portugal. I went there physically myself. I had meetings with talking to finance, the whole thing, trying to get a solution, as the payment was not coming from America, as Wisconsin Finance and White House Specialties were not paying. And then I had this contents, and the documentation was delivered there, and I was not. No, they did receive the package. It was sent by register. They have the 7-day demand letter. They have a copy of the police report. Like, they do understand the whole thing is, but the payment doesn't show up. And then Brazil, the same thing, you know, and Thailand, the same thing, which is all the things we're working in. But then this goes into the chapter about damages and losses and searching for credit in Portugal, because then I had all these clients asking me about why you are not shipping, why it's happened. Then you need to start to explain to client that my company was looted, that the funds are not here, that was victim of crimes on the cyberspace. We do not know exactly. Maybe was drug dealers in Ireland. I do not really know what sort, but it seems I was victim of a very organized, like international organized crime or something like that, because it was very orchestrated, as the case in Sint Marteen, like what my rights was doing there. You know, why it was so difficult to get payments there. You know, there's a lot of drugs in Sint Marteen. There's a lot of drugs in Texas. There's a lot of drugs in Ireland. So you never really know what was the whole thing I was victim of. But The good news is that nothing happened again to me. You know, like I was even victim of physical attacks in Ireland in my office. Like I was living with my car from my office, and then somebody just blocked my passage. The whole thing was fully informed to the authorities in Ireland, you know, like, so anyways, so today some videos of Portugal and the updates that we're working, you know, like through the United Kingdom, you know, you like we keep sending the notifications. On the defendant side, we only from Brazil, Texas very quiet, Wisconsin very quiet, Thailand very quiet, they do not respond, but Brazil they do, and then, you know, but it's also like bad stuff, like they receive threats now, like it's very strange, and then they said something that I have to pay them a cost I had in the USA or something, but things come very very informal, because something about these defendants that they do not make written messages, you know, they're very shady, you know, like Texas, for example, they just hang up on our attorney when we contact them. So anyways, we have the fun, you know, we keep informing, you know, making our case known, and so we're going to get until we build up the fund structure, because my lawsuits is like, I'm entitled for like, I have $1 million on compensations and damages and the whole thing. You are the one breaking the contract, not me. You are the one who's selling my product something else. I mean, please do not try to change the law, okay? The law is the law does not change. You the one who requested to change it to a new client. So you pay for that. I mean, I cannot go to you and say, look, I'm doing this and now I want you to pay for me. I mean, really? So please, that do not change the laws. The laws are the same in Thailand. The principles are the same. You're absolutely not allowed to change the laws, okay? The law is the law, and you follow the laws. And then the laws, which are very solid, and then when we negotiate. But you cannot negotiate expecting to change the laws. That's not possible. But it's an expensive lawsuit, and there's this gap in the state that they are not cooperating with intellectual property safety and cybercrime, so, and cyberspace. So this things is a big gap in the whole world nowadays. It's very crazy, because we need to be in the cyberspace to operate, but the governments are not giving us the structure to really operate in. So anyway, the law is very simple. You, instead of giving me the names of the person who wants to buy, you do it yourself because you feel it's more profitable. The law is very simple. So this is what you do. Instead of giving me the names of the person and then you sell to the new person. I mean, the law is very simple. You, instead of giving me the names of the person who wants to buy, you're doing it yourself because you feel it's more profitable. So this is what you do. You collect the product back from me and then you sell to the new person. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Or if you do the opposite, which is selling to a new client first, you get the payment, you refund me right away. That product, it's my product. It's in my name. I mean, you do not have the right to just say, oh, you know what, now. So anyway, so like to watch there, it's the Portugal's beautiful country, beautiful food, beautiful people, prices so economic, so cheap. It's just not much my cup of tea because I'm a busy person. Like I like to be in busy places like Milan, New York City, you know, like places there's a lot of things going on. Portugal is more quiet and really, but for those who do like, it's definitely a beautiful place. It's beautiful. Portugal, it's beautiful, unique, neat, everything's so neat. And I was in Porto, which is the industrial part, is the north of the country, and it's really like the food, you know, everybody's so friendly. They talk, and I talk Portuguese too, so like we talk in Portuguese, and a lot of tourists. It's a beautiful country. So anyways, I hope that's not advertised as much because we do not know how much, when we're going to be able to travel in the next, but hopefully soon. But maybe 2020 is more an introspective year, you know. So okay, so anyway, so look, thank you for watching us. We're very happy with the results. So getting more attention. I'm learning a lot. So you see the development of the shows. Every show is a bit more complex. Last chapter we made this interview with my friend that she also works with sales, and obviously like anybody else, she's working remotely. So watch the chapter number 32 before. She's in Queens right now. So like there's like 7,000 infected people around her. So like she's pretty quiet, be calm, because she's 28, but still, she's doing her quarantine, her apartment there in Queens, in New York City, and tomorrow I'm interviewing a colleague too. He's in Italy. So, but we were going to talk about quarantine. There's more illustration, not much about the lawsuits. Today is about the lawsuits. Portugal, January 2019, searching for credit and trying to collect my bills. So I had people did not pay, new businesses, and also there's something like important on my lawsuits, that the defendants, they were aware of my problems, so they knew they were destroying my other businesses with the default on their payments. So that also goes into the damages and losses about the other businesses that they were affected as a consequence. Because my client in Libya, he lost money with that because I didn't manage to ship. So he lost about $5,000 because for him to make a letter of credit to me, it cost him a lot of money. And then by the time I was not able to ship. It's a process that takes like 5 months. So in this 5 months, it was when I was attacked, looted, and everything. And then once I had the letter of credit, I could not ship because they're not paying me. And so that was a problem that I had as a victim of the looting. And also something also very bad. It's that proves that I was probably dealing with gangsters and drug dealers. Maybe I do not know what sort of crime they may be. I talk Mike Berg for White House Specialties, Wisconsin. It's this imitation cheese factory. On this process, I had one client that he asked me for the cheese because people still ask me for the cheese. I've been selling that for 7 years, so they still come to me asking for this cheese. I get that inquiries all the time. So, and this is a man that he pays cash. And then I said, he wanted to buy one container of cheese, and then I said, okay. So I contacted the defendants in Texas and in Wisconsin, saying, can you guys ship these 2 containers? This guy pays me, and we close the case. Because I sent them the termination contract, and that was about $100,000, which is this gap of money that they didn't pay me, and they just did not respond. So, which possibly makes us more suspicious about who they are, what they do, the whole thing. But okay, stay tuned to the developments of everything. I'm very versatile, so there's a lot of things going on. Next chapter, illustration. The chapter before too. Today I'm going to show more about Portugal. You've seen some because I'm mixing the pictures. All right. So look, and stay safe, and don't stay home, and the whole thing. I'm going to talk about quarantine and all that. Okay. All right. So let's bring civilization back. Okay. Again, I knew this was coming. I'm shocked about what happened, but I'm not surprised. We, small business people, sales people, marketing people, we are in the market. And I had 5 years, everything collapsing because the problems now was the looting, the lack of security, the lack of safety, all of this that was, and one of my difficulties is that it's a lot of people that have been victims of all sorts of crimes. Social media, like Mark Zuckerberg, that was 2018, also 19, he was interrogated like this. So we saw this whole, it's an age of darkness, it's a new dark age, it happened in history before. I do not know if it's the beginning of a new dark age or maybe it's the end of a new dark age. That's something we're going to discuss tomorrow in Italian, in the show in Italian. And it's the Huffpost. I keep putting the link because that basically illustrates the time in history we are living. Why so much white-collar crime? Why so much problems? Why so much money laundering? Why so much fraud? Why all of this? And then the Huffpost is the article of Michael Hobbs. He says that it's really the white-collar crime, and I can definitely relate to that because as my company was looted and robbed in 2018, it's just, and the lack of infrastructure to really move fast, understand. I mean, if we were not living in an age of darkness, the police would definitely have local intellectual property stations everywhere. I wouldn't go to a common police station and explain to them white-collar crime and fraud. I would be sit in a desk with an appointment and talking to somebody who understands import-export, who understands customs, who can definitely understand what sort of crime we're talking here. And the same thing in other fields like medical, technology. There's all sorts of fraud happening, but it's not only in America. It's like all over the world. Okay, so look, thank you. Stay tuned, and That is it.